Hi guys, today we're going to be continuing our study of quadratics in the quadratic formula by studying something called the discriminant. The discriminant helps you to identify the number and type of solutions for a quadratic. So if you have two real, two imaginary, or just one real solution. And this can be helpful because we can sort of do this before solving and then we know what to expect solution-wise. So in order to calculate the discriminant, it's something we calculate, we would take b squared minus 4ac. So you'll recognize that as the part of the quadratic formula that's under the radical. And so if the discriminant is positive, meaning that it's greater than 1, that means we have two real solutions, which as we know means we have two x-intercepts. It goes through the graph twice, okay? If the discriminant ends up being a negative number, so that means we'd be taking, it's less than 1, we'd be taking the square root of a negative. That means we still have two solutions, but now they're imaginary, right? If the number under the radical is negative, that means we have I, which means we have no intercept, so it never crosses the x-axis. Then if that number under the radical, or our discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, is 0, that means we just have one solution and it's real. Okay, and in that case, we just touch the x-axis, so we have one intercept. So here we had two intercepts. Here we had no intercepts. Here we have one intercept. Okay? So now for our examples, it says calculate the discriminant to determine the number and type of solutions, then find those solutions using the quadratic formula. So remember, our discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So if a is 1, b is negative 6, c is 9, b squared would be negative 6 squared minus 4ac. Okay, I'm going to plug this into Desmos. So negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9 is 0. Okay. So if this is 0, that means we're going to have one real solution. So then when we plug this into the quadratic formula, which here I can write that, quadratic formula says, I'll just write it here, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, right? So if I plug these a, b, and c values, we get x equals negative 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9 all over 2 times 1. Now we already know that negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 9 is 0, because that was our discriminant, right? So now we have positive 6 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. Okay, well, 6 plus or minus 0 is still 6. 6 over 2 is 3. So our one intercept, our one real solution, happens at 3. Okay, number 2, we have an a value of 1, b is negative 6, c is 8. So when I do my discriminant, my b squared minus 4ac would be negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 8. Okay, well, Desmos, whoops, I'm sorry. Would say 36 minus 4 times 1 times 8, which will be 24, is 4. Okay. So that's positive, which means we have 2 real solutions. So 2 intercepts. So now if we're going to use the quadratic formula to find those, we'd say x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Well, again, we know that discriminant is what's under the radicals, so we know this will be positive 6 plus or minus the square root of 4 over 2. Well, the square root of 4 is 2, so 6 plus or minus 2 over 2 would be 6 plus 2 over 2, and 6 minus 2 over 2. Well, this is 8 divided by 2, so 4. This is 4 divided by 2, so 2. Okay, 2 real solutions. Okay, doing that discriminant also is going to help us to affirm that we get the right solutions. If we know we're supposed to get 2 real solutions, that's what we want to see. Okay, I'm going to run out of room, I bet, in this last one. Here, our A value is 1, B is negative 6, C is 10. Let me go back and shrink this down a little bit. Okay, so then b squared minus 4ac would be negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10. Well, that would be 36 minus 40, right? 4 times 10 is 40, so this would be negative 4. And if the discriminant is negative, that means we have 2 imaginary solutions. Okay, so let's find them. We would say x equals negative b. B is negative 6, so negative 6 plus or minus the square root of negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10. All over 2a, a is 1. Okay, well, we know that part under the radical is our negative 4, so the square root of negative 4 over 2 would be 2i, right? To make that positive, we bring out the I, and then the square root of 4 is 2, all over 2. Okay, now we write those as 2 separate answers, 6 plus 2i over 2, 6 minus 2i over 2. And what I hope you notice is that all 3 of those terms can be reduced by a factor of 2. So this becomes 3 plus 1i over 1, so just 3 plus i, and this becomes 3 minus 1i over 1, or just 3 minus I. Okay, good. So hopefully that gave us good practice on quadratic formula, but also helps us to be able to identify what we should be looking for when we solve any quadratic. So from now on, oops, this is negative 4. From now on, we would want to use that discriminant to sort of know ahead of time what we're working on. Okay, if you go back to Canvas, there's a quizzes code. You should enter your screenshot right here on the second page. You can do it as many times as you need to get a good score, and then submit. Talk to you guys soon.